Hold on, hand. I gotta get in character.
Supposed to be good luck?
We're not stacking them. We're spending them. You gotta get. I gotta get in character.
Uh-oh.
Gotta get in character. Hit my music.
What music?
We got one stopped at turn 1 and 2. It's the 17 of Sanlaeid out of Park City, Kentucky.
I finished last place, but it's okay.
No, not quite.
Next to last, pretty much. Next to last.
No.
Yeah, I did.
90th out of 112.
But the other 20 behind me didn't run, so next to last.
Shh, don't say that. How did it feel getting back behind the wheel of a race car and also
Race car.
And also, how did it feel drag racing again when obviously dirt racing is your heart, but you do have a special connection with drag racing, and that's kind of where you got started. So how did it feel getting back to that?
It's awesome just getting to race anything, because the whole reason I moved to North Carolina was not the NASCAR job. It's like these analogies, it's like a musician moving to Nashville. When you have a dream, you just have to do the wild shit to get where, I'd say that. You just have to do the wild stuff. Sorry. Let me start over. Sorry. I'm there.
A daily driver. Daily driver a touch too early.
It felt good to race again. I know to some who don't understand drag racing, or just me in general, we may look silly driving almost 3 hours in the 2001 Impala to go drag racing to get some heavy hitters, but you know, racing is something that's very dear to my heart. I always joke because the church I went to, Healy Heights Church of Bowling Green, Kentucky, there were a few members of that church who ran an asphalt late model at Beach and Raceway Park and some various tracks. And I found out about short track racing through church. So as a kid, church got me into racing, and racing kept me in church because there were a lot of people, like I said, at church who raced. Like the one person, well, a few people, but there's a lot of people near and dear to my heart from church and from racing. I like to call him my dad, Philip Cannon. I'll always be grateful for the life lessons he's given me, and just introduced me to dirt racing too. Him and Larry Greer, Jeremy Green, just took me under their wing and showed me some stuff. Now I got a few butt chewings that I deserved. You know, I wasn't the best crew member, but I sure did have a lot of fun with them. And I missed it 09G every day, and I wish I could have those days back some days. Oh, I lost first round, but I'm blaming you. Well, that's not funny. But it was your fault.
Why?
It's fun to pass blame. As a true racer, I pass blame.
Well, you look good out there, and that's what matters.
Did I? Did I look good? Did I look good?
Yes.
Oh, she said the S word. So to recap the weekend, we ran what is called no box in this area. So some places maybe pro, sportsmen. So some dragsters, some race cars have a delay system. So when the Christmas tree goes down, you can, I think I've explained this, I hope. Basically, you can release a button in the vehicle. You can set a delay in the throttle to take off. And so the electronically takes off and holds itself back. But in foot brake, the only thing stopping the vehicle at the starting line or starting it is your feet. So left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas, and hammer down. So people who watch drag racing, you can correct me and make a fool of me in comments, but neither here or there. I'm just a redneck trying to figure this out. But so I ran foot brake, and I was the only daily driver in all 282 vehicles there across the two classes. I was only daily driver, which is kind of cool though, because I like being able to stand out and do something different. I've never been the one to fall in line, because even at NASCAR, I would say I'm probably the only redneck who works at NASCAR. It's a bracket race. For those who know what bracket racing is, so we do have time trials and practice to kind of gauge where your vehicle sits at. So when you get to the race, you write your dial-in time on your window or put it on your light board, whatever you have, and you cannot run faster than that time. You can run slower or dead on. It's just a way to keep the field a little tighter. But anyway, so I dialed in at like 1150, but dealt with tire, as the track got hot, as it got hotter today, it dealt with tire spin. And also my reaction time was slow, getting used to the Impala, because again, a daily driver's not meant to drag race. So lost first round. Second round, I was able to buy back. So some bracket races do, we can re-enter the race. So I re-entered, red lit there, it was done early today. But day 2 of the race, me and Hannah talking about what to dial in with the tire spin and all. So first round we decided to go 1150 because we were kind of banking on the car spinning again. Not taking into consideration that the track was a little warmer the day before we ran. So I dialed 1150. I got the head start jump, whatever was in the left lane. As I'm going down the track, I realized the guy's not catching me. Now, by the time I get to the 8th mile mark, I realize he's not going to catch me. So at this rate, I know I'm going to break out. So I let off the gas and not soon enough. So at 1150 dial in, I go at 1094. At least I didn't run light, but if I had just jammed on the brake, I probably could have made the second round. So second round comes back up, or second round, I buy back, go to the re-entry race, trying to get to round 2. So we slow down the dial, or speed up the dial in time to 1105. I try to dry hop, so I'm not able to do a burnout in my car just because it's daily driver. So I did a couple of dry hops. The car spun in my dry hop, so I knew I was in trouble there. So I line up against a 660 car, and off the line, lo and behold, tire spin. The day before, I had whopped the throttle, kind of like I was in a sprint car to see if I could get grip, and that killed my dial in time. So this time I stay in it just to see if the car would bite. It finally bites. But the 660 car gets his start and catches me halfway down the track, and then he lets off and coasts to victory, and I'm out. So 4 races, 0 wins. But overall, I would say I did this race not so much to win, and I know that sounds weird, but I wanted to race against a smaller field. I knew it would be hard, but I wanted a better shot at going further versus, going for the $20,000 race that was there that had 250 vehicles in it. So I did the 32 car no box race, just so I can have, still compete against a hard competition, but not have to go through so many rounds if, luck went my way. But obviously it didn't go that way. But I did learn a lot about me and the car, and just need to practice, just do it more. But overall, like I said, me and my wife had fun, and I don't know how many more times I get to race this year. I have some dates for NASCAR that I had to go out of town, but I wanted to run for points at Mooresville, but there's some races for regional I have to cover, but duty calls. But hopefully one year I can chase a points championship, because ultimately my heart and my dream is to make this full time. And I know as a guy sitting in front of a camera wearing his own racing shirt, it's easy to say, but reality hits, that not everybody's chosen to be that full-time racer. And I think I'm one of those people, sadly, but I would love to put down the camera and stop playing music once and for all and just be racer again. I've done a lot of distractions in life with music and media, because I always told myself that I never could do it, and just some things in life just made me feel like racing was never a possibility. But, I will say, going to the church I am now, this is kind of where my faith and racing intersect. Our pastor, head pastor Corey Alley, I had to give him props. He has more faith as a pastor than I've ever seen, and I love it. And I used to think he was so crazy because he's been praying for a church to give us a building. You sit in the crowd and it's like, that's so ridiculous. So why would somebody just give up a free building and so much property? But then I sort of thought, I said, how little faith of me. I want to race so bad, that's hard. But so why is a free building so crazy? And it's just been, a lot of God moments have been up here. We found our church because of a race I shot in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I feel like God has something for me in racing, because even on my worst days, racing and church have always been there for me. I feel like God can speak to me through racing, and I know that sounds weird to some, but I met some of my closest friends, my bonus dad, as I like to call him, Philip Cannon. I've met through racing in church, and I learned a lot of great life lessons and met some great people through it, and I made some great connections. So I don't know if I'll ever, get to do it full time, how tomorrow I'll get to do it. I don't know if it's just a silly dream or just a stupid thought, but I always ask my wife when we have a rough day, especially when it deals with racing or work, it's like, do you think God wants me to race? And she always says yes. She always says yes. And she always tells me, I don't think God would give you such a passion for something if He didn't want you to do it, or didn't want to have it, or if He didn't want it a part of your life. And like I said, some of you, this may seem like a silly video, like I just raced a street Impala, but that race meant more to me than anything. Just to be back out there, I wasn't competitive, but just to think as competitive as a racer, feel like a racer again. Because when I'm behind the camera at NASCAR it's cool being around the races, but it's not the same as being a crew member or whatever. I would put down the camera and the drumsticks any day if somebody had to call for a race car. I would leave it all behind just to go racing. You know, I miss the dirt car back home in Butler, Kentucky. I miss being a crew member. You know, I just have very fond memories of it. Not that I'm fond memories doing media work, but it's not my passion. Music's not my passion. Jesus is, racing is, but I would love to change the world one person at a time through Jesus, obviously, and through racing. Because like I said, I feel like Jesus has laid racing in my heart. Not so much for the racing aspect of it, but there are a lot of people who need Jesus. There's a lot of people in racing who are just like me and you watching this video. And I just want to be a small part of their lives. You know, they don't have to remember my name, but I just remember what Jesus has done for them. And it's funny that I mentioned that too, because I found this shirt the other day. And this is actually the team that my church, or a lot of members of my church had, GALOT Motorsports. Now, it's a very Baptist name, I would say, Turn or Burn, because I never thought about it later. It's like kind of in your face, but I'm kind of in your face guy as a redneck. But, you know, the shirt does not fit. It's a medium. I'm a extra large probably now, or that marriage weight be hitting sometimes, but I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I've seen crazier things happen in life, so if I never make it in racing, I'm fine with it. But I just want to enjoy the journey. It's like Philip said to me one time. I, discussed, getting out of automotive and going into music, and he called me out and said, "That doesn't sound like you." And I just said how hard it was, learning automotive and stuff. And he said, Yim, it's not about the destination as much as it is the journey. And that sticks with me because, like I said, I don't think I'll ever make it as a racer. It's just being real. I don't do it. I'm not a mechanic. I don't do it enough, and the money's not there. But I sure will have a hell of a lot more fun than most of y'all out there. So I'll see you out the track somewhere. And you better save me a Pepsi.